listening to the MMA Brothers Podcast, coming to you from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Your source for UFC news, previews, and post-fight coverage. Hosted by your favorite duo, Daryl and Asher. Let's get it started.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to the MMA Brothers Podcast. It's Daryl.
This is Asher.
And we're talking UFC Fight Night. Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar, live from Abu Dhabi, Yas Island. As usual, we're going to take you through the main card and let you know who we think is going to win, who we're going to think is going to be next to the opponent, how the fight's going to break down, and we'll start off at the bottom of the main card as usual. So, Asher, do you mind taking off with Dusko, Torodovic, and Punahele Soriano?
Yeah, Punahele Soriano and Dusko Torodovic. So Dusko is from Montenegro. He's 10-0. He's a guy that's coming with a lot of hype. He's 6'1" versus Soriano, who's American and standing at 5'11". This fight's going to be 185 pounds. Both fighters are undefeated. Both fighters are obviously going to try to make a name for themselves. I have seen Dusko compete. He does have that KO power. As you can see, 60% of his fights are won by KO. So I'm sure Soriano obviously doesn't want an L on his record, and you can only imagine this fight's gonna be sick, right? I expect it to be fireworks because both fighters can KO each other. They're probably not gonna go for submissions too much, but I don't see this fight going to decision just based on their standing right now. I think one of them is gonna want to make a statement with this fight, so I'm gonna be going with Dusko though, just based on what I've seen from him. Daryl, who are you picking?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dusko too. I was very, very impressed with his last performance. I'm pretty sure he got the TKO win, if I'm not mistaken, Asher. Right?
Yep.
This is in the middleweight division, so these guys have a lot of knockout power. They're coming in to take each other's heads off. This is the first card of 2021. These guys are going to get off to a banger of a start. Dusko has very heavy hands. He's the more experienced fighter by only 3 fights, but he's the taller fighter. He has a 1.5-inch reach advantage, which is not much, but, it's better than being on the opposite end of it. So I think this fight's going to play out as Dusko's going to move forward and capitalize off of the hype off of his last fight, and he's probably going to get Soriano out of there within the first round. So that's my prediction. And we're going to move on to Joaquin Buckley versus Alessio Dirico.
Yeah. So the Italian, Joaquin Buckley, everybody knows who he is. He's coming off that hype. Oh, actually, no. He's coming off of hype of a second KO because that KO against Impa Kasaganai was 2 fights ago. Because then he got another KO in his last fight where he won in the second round. And Dana White loves stuff like this because this is his reaction when he saw the 2 KOs from Joaquin Buckley.
Is he fucking awesome?
It's pretty awesome, dude. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty awesome. So yeah, Joaquin Buckley, like I said, he's the hype guy coming into 2021, along with Kevin Holland, obviously a few other fighters like Khamzat Chimaev. He's on the hype train. They're striking while the iron's hot. He's been fighting frequently now. So he's fighting a guy that honestly, I have seen his fights, but he's not really a big name, and he's not somebody that's gonna come in and KO Joaquin Buckley, I don't think. Joaquin should win this fight on paper. He is 12-3 with his record. And Chris Chirico, he's Italian. Alessio, he's Italian with an MMA record of 12-5. So the experience is quite similar. It is at 185. The reach advantage is in Joaquin Buckley's side, even though it's a little bit shorter by a 2-inch reach height disadvantage. If you scroll down, I want to see how both fighters win. I do believe Joaquin Buckley has more KOs. That's right. 75% of his fights are won by KO. So on paper, it looks like Joaquin Buckley should be putting Alessio to sleep. This should be easy fight, I should say. I don't expect too much of trouble for Joaquin to get this dub. And I'm going to be picking Joaquin Buckley. Daryl, who you got?
So disrespectful. This guy, you should be putting him to sleep. What's wrong with you? But
when Joaquin puts Alessio to sleep, this is what GSP is going to say.
Are you intoxicated or something?
That's terrible, man. Yeah. Joaquin, very, 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 very exciting fighter. The only thing I'm gonna say is he moves forward so much he does get caught. That's the only risk he runs with his hyper aggressive fighting style, as he got KO'd by Kevin Holland in the same manner. He's just moving forward, throwing bombs. It's either Joaquin gasses out by the end of the second round, and then Alessio submits him or something in the third, or Alessio's getting his head taken off in the first round. I'm going to go most likely with the head being taken off. First round TKO for Joaquin. He doesn't hold back. Even with his last fight, when he finished the guy in the second round, it's like the guy barely made it out of the first round. He's getting pinned up against the cage, and the guy was a much bigger, taller fighter than Joaquin. Alessio's not, right? It's only 2 inches of height, and the way Joaquin fights, if you don't have that reach and you know, I don't know. I don't think it's going to go well for Alessio unless he's just going to shoot and try to take Joaquin down. But I don't know. I'm going to go with Joaquin first round TKO. And we're going to move on to Santiago Panzinibio, the Argentine dagger.
Yeah, that's right. Santiago Panzinibio versus Lian. So Lian, the Leech. I don't know if I like that nickname, but yeah, the Argentine dagger. Is that what that says? Yeah, the Argentine dagger.
Daggering shorties at the club in Argentina.
Yo, look at him. He's yeah, I'm not gonna go there. But yeah, along with Panzinibio and Joaquin Buckley, these guys are the biggest favorites on the card at minus 290. So if you're a betting man, clearly Vegas is falling.
I'm so in love with you.
They're falling in and out of love with Panzinibio and Buckley. So if you guys are gonna bet, if you want a safe bet, it seems like these are the two guys to bet on. But going back to the preview on this one, Santiago, he's been out for a minute. Like he's been out for I think like 2 years or something. He was on some crazy win streak. I think he was 7-0 in the welterweight division. And he's somebody that could have been fighting for the title when Woodley was champ. I think it was around the time when Woodley was champ, or when Usman just became champ, when Panzinibio was red hot. He was winning, he's beating everybody, and now he's coming back and he's fighting a contender like Lian. And he's on somebody like in the top 5 in the welterweight division, which Santiago is supposed to be fighting. And he actually got upset. He was saying like, yo, you know, the UFC is giving me some guy that's not even like on my level. You know, I should be fighting for like top 5 or for like a title challenger or, you know, for the belt right now. So he's kind of pissed off about that, but it's not his fault. Well, kind of his fault, but not really. He's had a lot of injuries that he had to deal with. And then in terms of fights in the top 5 division, all of them are booked. It seems like Masvidal and Kobe are going to fight. Usman and Burns are signed to fight each other. Wonder Boy just came off. I guess he could have fought Wonder Boy or something. But like Lian, like he's not a top 10 guy, but then I think he's unranked right now, but then he's also not a scrub, you know, like he's one of the hyped Chinese fighters in the UFC. And there's a lot of people that think that he's a real deal. If you look at, obviously, in terms of stats, 52% KO power for Panzinibio versus 47. So there's not much of a difference there. Both of them can win by KO, but just based off experience, based off of record, if he looked the way he looked before he got all those injuries, then you should have Panzinibio winning this fight. And that's what I'm going to be picking.
Yep. I mean, I hate the fact that we're going with the same picks every single fight, but, you know, look at the records, guys. That's all I have to say is look at the records. 28-3 versus 17-6. Santiago's learned from his mistakes before. Another thing that I was going to say is he has had a long injury layoff, but what's that allowed him to do? Heal and add new facets to his game that Lijiang will not know that he's added to his game, right? So the same similar thing could be said with Sean O'Malley. I know he's coming off of a loss, but he said as he was healing from his various injuries, he learned a lot more facets to his game in terms of martial arts that he didn't have before. So I'm not really expecting Santiago to have a lot of trouble with Lijiang, to be quite honest. I think Lijiang is going to have a good first round. He's going to be, you know, excited to be out there. And then second and third, Santiago is just going to dominate him and finish him in the third round. That's just the way I think the fight's going to go. So that's my pick. Santiago as well. Move on.
Yeah.
We'll move on to Carlos Condit versus Matt Brown. Connection failure. That's okay.
Yep, we got the natural born killer versus the immortal, Matt Brown versus Carlos Condit. These two guys have been in the UFC for God knows how long. Um, so you could say like way too long. I guess Carlos Khan is actually more on the younger side. I think Matt Brown might be closer to 40. I don't think the UFC shares the age of these fighters, but at least on the UFC website in terms of the fight breakdown. But yeah, they're both American. Carlos Khan is 2 inches taller. And Matt Brown, this fight is obviously going to be at 170. Carlos Condit has half an inch reach advantage.
He's
And
36, by the way. Carlos.
Carlos is 36. Matt Brown, I'm pretty sure is close to 40. He's somebody that has talked about possibly retiring a few times. He's always in and out of retirement talks, which kind of makes sense. He's been in the UFC for so long. He's been knocked out quite a few times. And then his last fight, he actually was doing really, really well. I think his last fight was against that guy, Michael Beza or something Beza. I can't remember. Some Cuban looking dude.
Miguel Baeza.
Yeah, Miguel Baeza. Sorry, that's his name. Miguel Baeza. And then Matt Brown was about to finish him. And Miguel Baeza, if I'm not mistaken, he's undefeated. And he's this hot prospect. And Mike Brown, almost finished him. So it's close to show that like Matt Brown cannot be underestimated. But in the last fight with Carlos Condit beat who did he beat in his last fight? I mean, it's slipping my mind, but I know he won his last fight against somebody that was kind of like a contender, and not a contender, but somebody that was trying to make him a name for himself in the 170-pound division. So at least Carlos Condit's got a win under his belt. Before that, he was in a big losing skid. So I want to say I'm gonna pick Carlos Condit to win this fight because he is coming off a win, even though Matt Brown is no easy task for anybody. Something just tells me that Carlos Condit is going to be able to get this done, and this might be Matt Brown's last fight in the UFC. Who you got, Daryl?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. Man, I can't go with. I hate the fact that I have to go with your pick. I'm gonna have to go with Carlos. He's younger. Yes, he's on a losing streak, as you said. He's gotten a recent win. I just think Matt Brown's chin is just very weathered, man. He's still a really good fighter. He's always in the fights, but then like the moment he gets touched with one good shot, he's going down. Right? There's only so much your chin can take. Other than Andrei Arlovsky, I haven't seen someone's chin go down and then come back up. He's the only guy that I still don't get it, but somehow his chin's still holding up. But it's going to be a very exciting stand-up fight, if I'm not mistaken. The way these two fight, they're not going to want to grapple. They're the co-main event. They're going to want to get out there, get a really, really, not career-defining win because at the end of their careers, but like it would be a very good way to go out for Matt Brown to get a win over Carlos Condit. And then with Carlos, he's so good on the ground, and yet he's also so good with standing up. Matt Brown's way better at standing up than on the ground, in my opinion. So if this fight stays standing up, I'm going to give the edge to Matt Brown. If it goes to the ground, I'm going to go with Carlos, but I'm going to pick Carlos for the win. If you're betting, go with Carlos. That's just my opinion. And then we're going to move on to Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar. I don't know why he doesn't have a nickname, but Max Bust Holloway's from the United States. So is Calvin. This is in the lightweight division. No, featherweight. Featherweight, right? Asher?
Yes, featherweight. Yes, featherweight.
Okay. Same height, 5'11". Calvin has a 3-inch reach advantage. How did these fighters get it done? Max wins 48% of his wins by KO or TKO, with Calvin at 50. They both have a 10% and 9% submission. And Max wins 43% of his fights by decision and 41% by Calvin. So they're very, very similar in statistics about how they win. Max was the featherweight GOAT for the longest time, and I'm pretty sure he still is. He's been robbed of a few decisions with his wins against Alexander Volkanovski. I thought he won both fights. Other people had different opinions, but how do I think this fight's going to go down? Calvin is really, really good with his boxing, and Max is really, really good with his boxing. And Max is not the type of person who's going to back down to anyone in a stand-up fight. He stood up with Dustin Poirier, who I think hits harder than Calvin Kattar, and Dustin even couldn't put Max away. What I think is going to happen is the fight's going to start. Max is going to start getting tagged quite a bit in the first 2 rounds. The third, fourth, and the fifth, I think that's when Calvin's going to really feel the championship pressure from Max Holloway, because Max is a champ. He wants to go back there and get his belt back from Volkanovski, which I think Calvin's only chance of winning this fight is to take Max Holloway out. Like, he's got to finish him. Like, he's not going to beat him in the decision because Max throws such a high volume of strikes. Has anyone ever beat Max in a strike count, Asher? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Maybe, yeah, total strike count in a fight, I don't think so.
Yeah, like Max has a ridiculous gas tank. So does Calvin's gas tank. Not ridiculous. It's good, but it's not ridiculous as Max's. And I just think that the volume of strikes is going to overwhelm Calvin, and Max is going to get the win by decision. I don't think he's stopping Calvin Kattar, but I think he's going to get the decision win. First 2 rounds are going to favor Calvin. The last 3 are going to favor Max Holloway. That's how I predict the fight to go. And I'm going to give the win to Max. Who do you got, Asher?
You know, I'm not even going to try and make you guys guess who I'm going to be picking for this fight. This is all I'm going to let you know.
It is what it is.
I'm going to be picking Max Bless Holloway, baby. 10th Island, what's up? So, Max Holloway, Toronto lover, just like Daryl and I. And yeah, it's kind of hard to pick against him. As you can see, Max Holloway is a minus 150 favorite. It's not a lot. That goes to show you that it's going to be a close fight. Calvin Kattar has been in a roll lately. But I just think Max Holloway is a different beast, man. Like, I'll be surprised if Calvin Kattar wins this fight, because if he wins this fight, then he's in a discussion for the title shot next, obviously. And in terms of Max Holloway, like you said, Daryl, like he had like his 2 losses against Volkanovski. The first one, you can say more like, okay, yeah, maybe Volkanovski won that. But the second one, a lot of people thought Max got robbed. So Brian Ortega is probably going to face Volkanovski next, and then Max Holloway is obviously going to want Ortega to win so that he can fight Ortega for the belt, because he doesn't think you get a third fight against Volkanovski. Calvin Kattar has not fought for the belt yet, so he's obviously needs to get past Max Holloway in order to get his title shot next. The way I picture this fight going, like Daryl said, the gas tank is definitely in Max Holloway's favor. And if you look at the strike count as well, I do think Max Holloway lands more strikes per minute than Calvin Kattar does. Yeah, there you see 6 significant strikes, 6.6 per minute versus 5.29. So Max Holloway is the more active fighter. Even though Calvin Kattar is no one to mess with, like you can see that elbow he landed on Jeremy Stephens was insane. And I've never seen Jeremy Stephens drop like that before from a strike. So Calvin Kattar can catch you with some, a little heathen. He can catch you with some things, right? And I have a feeling that it's gonna get to a point where Max is just gonna be putting on that heat on Calvin Kattar when it comes to the 4th and 5th rounds, and he's gonna have to do something in order to stay in the fight.
Let's wrestle, kid. Let's wrestle. Let's wrestle. Let's wrestle.
He's gonna have to start wrestling, because he's gonna be like, man, this pressure Max Holloway is putting on me in the 4th and 5th round is something different, bro. And you know how it is, like Max in the 4th round, he's a beast. So Calvin Kattar is definitely gonna have to weather that storm, because even in the fight against Dustin Poirier, when Max Holloway was getting tagged in the 1st round, I think in the 2nd round too, the 3rd and 4th rounds were Max's for sure. And then he was putting that pressure on Poirier. So Calvin Kattar better watch out. I'm not ruling him out. He can win by KO or TKO, but I'm going with Max Bless Holloway, baby, like I already said. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this breakdown, guys. Let us know what you think. I hope you like the clips that you put on. And please, for those that are listening to our podcast, would love it if you guys were to rate us on whatever platform you listen to us, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever. Please leave a rating, say you like us or whatever. It would be nice. It could help us out with the algorithm in terms of getting some search results or ranking higher up on the podcast. And yeah, if you're watching us on YouTube, then even better. I hope you enjoyed those clips. Like I said, follow us on Instagram at MMA Brothers Pod. You will obviously like the stuff that we're posting on there. We post some funny stuff, some good questions and stuff. So we're going to keep the content rolling. We're excited that the UFC's back. 3 events in a week, baby. So we're going to hit you with this one. I'm going to hit you with the post-fight, hit you with another preview, hit you another post-fight, hit you another preview, hit you another post-fight. It's going to be great. Well, that's it from me. Anything, Daryl?
No, man. The best is blessed. Thanks, guys, for listening. Like, comment, subscribe at MMA Brothers Pod. We out.
Thanks for listening to the MMA Brothers Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please give us a follow on our socials. You can check out a description of this episode for more, but don't forget to connect with us on Instagram at MMA Brothers Pod. We'll see you on the next episode.